Welcome into K-State Online. I'm Mason Voth. That is Drew Galloway here on a Monday. It is back to game week. We have no more bye weeks on the schedule for K-State football this season. It is 3 games, then maybe a really long bye month, and maybe they make it to a bowl game if they beat the teams left on their schedule that they should beat. K-State is 4-5. They need to win 2 of their final 3 games. They play 2 really atrocious teams in the final 3 games against Oklahoma State this weekend on the road, and then to end the year at home against Colorado with that road trip to Salt Lake City in the middle. Game this weekend, 11 a.m. against Oklahoma State. Game time the following week in Salt Lake City, still to be determined. We'll find that out on Sunday morning because they are doing the 6-day selection for all those games that week, except for one.
That does feel like a 9:15 cut start, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think it's going to come down to Arizona State could be a late one in that window against Colorado. So I think it's ASU and Colorado or K-State and Utah could be the 90s. So we'll have to keep an eye on it. And obviously, K-State fans, for this team especially, you're probably like, I don't need a night kick that late anyways. A couple of big things to talk about today. We will get to the Austin Romaine stuff in a minute, but before that, this started to develop on Friday and was kind of unofficially finalized after we had recorded Friday's show. So that's why you had to wait till today. Dylan Edwards, no longer with K-State. What do you make of the timeline here, Drew, and what came to be?
Yeah, it just sucks more than anything. Like that, this was something that you always kind of had in the back of your mind when he wasn't playing. You kind of had it in the back of your mind last year after the season ended. It is just kind of a product of what goes on in college football right now. It is unfortunate for both sides because I think that there is a world where, both sides really wanted to make this work and have this be a big thing and a big deal. And bringing Dylan Edwards back to begin with was already kind of polarizing. And this is where, do you learn from this mistake going forward? Because the easy option here is to say, I told you so. Because a lot of people kind of thought that this was going to happen no matter what. And there are people that thought that it was going to happen after last year even. So you got to learn from it. And maybe if you see the red flags and you know about the red flags, maybe you don't pursue it and don't try it because there was enough to really turn you off the first time. And now it's the second time and he's done this to you. And it's like, maybe I'm the problem. So it is unfortunate that it didn't work out because he's an electric player and does a lot of really great things when he's on the field. The problem is not just that he hasn't been available, but it's the off the field stuff that is also kind of contributing to this. And I will say too, this isn't like Dylan Edwards is healthy and shutting it down. We probably weren't going to see Dylan Edwards the rest of the year because he is legitimately hurt.
Yeah, which, one of those things that we think, we talked about a while back where you're just going to have to get used to it and kind of move on and forget about it for now. If he's back next year, great. If not, okay, you go on with life without him. I wrote the 3 and Out this week about like the situation, and I think that there are a handful of ways to view it. I think if you do anything more than that, then you're just looking to be mad or you want to be caught up with it. Like, it doesn't matter anymore. So like, he's not at K-State anymore. Forget about him. That's the easiest thing to do.
And don't be a weirdo on the internet towards Dylan Edwards. Way too many people are like kind of crossing that line.
Look, don't be a weirdo either way. Definitely don't be the one that's like going and spewing negative things about him. But like, you also don't have to be the weirdo that's like, hey, I'm wishing you well. Like, no, guess what? Just shut up and don't talk to college kids on the internet. That to me, that's best way to go about it. And like, I don't know that, you need to give a ton of air to the situation after this little window where, okay, the news has come out. You react to the news, and now you move on because he really wasn't playing this year. He had one game where he was impactful for K-State against UCF, and probably the healthiest he had been all year when he received a carry. You would have liked to have seen more of that. Like, there's an alternate world where this works out for K-State, but it didn't. And you assumed that risk when you brought him on because of things that happened in his recruitment. And I think K-State and every school, especially like K-State, you have to continue to take chances on guys like that. Now, you don't build a whole roster with them, Deion Sanders, but you take a handful of them. You hope that everything else is good enough that you can either get them on board or you can put up with what's going on there. And you also have to kind of make sure that, and this is where K-State really screwed up this season, is that these types of players cannot be integral to what you're going to do as a team. Now, it can be what makes you really, really good, but it can't be what it's done to K-State, or what I think one of the excuses has been at times is it took this team from being what they were supposed to be and wanted to be down to a team that's 4-5 and one of the biggest disasters, most embarrassing teams in a lot of people's lifetimes at K-State. So that's why I like you took on the risk equity with this. You thought there was going to be some reward. There was at times, like the punt return against Arizona last year. You thought, here we go. This is what it's going to be like. The Rate Bowl, MVP of that game, looked awesome. Had a great game against UCF. Like, we saw what K-State saw to want that. But like anything, if a guy has had multiple stops or has lots of changes of heart, like, you can't be shocked when the heart changes again. And so I just, like, to me, I think people are going to like overreact. Like, I was totally unbothered by this news coming out on Friday because I'm just like, okay, whatever, move on. And now, like, this makes life so much easier for K-State next season because you kind of already needed to go get a number one running back in the portal, because after this year, you realize, well, Joe Jackson can't take that role, and there's no guarantee that Dylan Edwards is going to be there for us on a majority of the games. So you already needed to do it. Well, now Dylan Edwards is totally out of the picture, so you don't have to worry about keeping a guy healthy that has all that talent in the world. Like, you just move on. K-State's singular focus, number one on the list this offseason, is you have to go out and get a number one running back. Like, and you don't have to worry about the repercussions of going out and searching for one and then eventually landing one.
No, that's exactly correct. And I'm almost to the point where, would it be so bad if K-State went out and got 2 running backs out of the portal? Like, it.
I mean, think of how well it worked in year one for Chris Kleiman. Like,
Yes.
they were fortunate, and I don't think it was like it. No, I don't think, I know it was never the plan that Deuce Vaughn was going to come in and immediately be the
That's
lead
God.
back, 20 carries a game, and B, like, I don't really know that they thought he was good. I'm not sure they ever thought, oh, we're going to get, the second best running back in the Big 12 behind Bijan Robinson, like in this guy right here. And because this was a staff that had primarily their first year at K-State and then their time at North Dakota State been like, we're going to have 2, maybe even 3 really solid running backs that are interchangeable. We saw it work with James Gilbert and Jordan Brown. And I think for K-State moving forward next year, like, especially if, we'll see what it looks like at some of the other spots, but like, if you can retain a lot of your offensive skill talent, then you have a roster that's built to do that, where the running back isn't so important that you need to have one dynamite guy back there. Like, if this team had a James Gilbert and Jordan Brown this season, I think they're a better football team. Like,
Oh,
I
yeah.
think that they are probably, we're sitting here right now and we're talking about, you're going on the road, you're going to smash Oklahoma State, and then the game that will define your season is taking place next weekend in Salt Lake City. And instead, because of everything that's gone on this year, you're not in that situation. And so, this team is not to the point where they need to go out and get somebody like a Deuce Vaughn or a DJ Giddens. Like, they were fortunate the last 5 years to have those guys that could carry that workload and be that good. But it was never the intention, and it's not what this staff had traditionally done.
Yeah, and even like, if they had like a Harry Trotter type, I think that we're not talking about how poor the running game has been. And I really go back to, like, if they could run the ball a little bit, I think they beat Arizona on that Friday night and don't fall to 1-3. And
Yep.
then they're probably sitting at 5-4 right now, and you're kind of salvaging it as like, okay, wasn't the best season. It's still a failure from where you wanted to be. But you have 3 games where you could go 8-4. If you go 2-1, you go 7-5, and then you move on, you flush it, you move on, get ready for next year. But instead, it's like, okay, now you got to win 2 of the next 3 to win a bowl game because you just couldn't run the ball for a majority of the season. So they do need to go out and get at least 1 transfer running back, if not 2. The question that I'm going to pose to you, because I've thought about this a little bit, I don't know how much it really changes, but it's a fascinating question because of when the injury occurred and how everything has kind of gone on since then. It is the what if from this season going to be what if the coin toss goes the other way in Ireland and K-State gets the ball first?
Yeah. I mean, I like people don't want to hear it. And I don't want to hear it. Like, you got to be tougher than that. You got to be better than that. But like it has sent K-State, and there was people, we knew this going into it. Like, I think we alluded to it. We just kind of thought like, okay, this team should be better equipped to handle it than what they showed to be. But this whole start to the season was set up in a way that it's like you could really like damage yourself here. We know that going and playing in that Ireland game internationally is not easy. We know that playing a service academy is not easy. You're asking for it. We know that road game, Friday night, late night kick is not easy. And like, you didn't have a ton of control there in that one, which is what makes it, even more crazy that, sign us up for Ireland, sign us up for Army. Um, but like, that set you up, and K-State was 1-3, should have been 0-4. And then you get into conference play and they kind of like looked and played like the team that we thought they were supposed to be. Like, they lost at Baylor. They could have been a little better. I think that's mostly on the coaches for how that game ended up playing out. But like, your season was defined and changed because of what took place early in it. And I think you're right. I think like K-State gets the ball first. You're not in the position of muffing that punt, and it leads to an injury, and then Dylan Edwards is behind it all year, and you're going through without a legitimate running back. So it's not, you don't give a pass to the coaching staff or this team for it, but that is a legitimate what if, I think. And look, there are a lot of teams that would be better and have handled things better after and not collapsed, but K-State did.
Yeah, and that's kind of where I am too. Like, it's not a pass and it's not an excuse, but it's going to be something that I think is talked about for quite a while after this season. I even saw some discourse about that when the Dylan Edwards news broke on Friday of like, how different does this season go? Does Dylan Edwards' career go? This season go? Everything go? If K-State just gets the ball first in Dublin, and it's a fascinating question because like there's no guarantees obviously that Dylan Edwards doesn't get hurt even if they get the ball first, but it just is something to kind of think about and kind of a fun like exercise about what really would happen because you truly do never know. Because I mean, there's also the what if scenario of like, Iowa State gets the ball first, but they go down and score instead of having to punt after going 3 and out, because that also is what ended up happening. So it's just a crazy little scenario there, but I don't think it really changes a whole lot. I was kind of the one that had the hesitations all off season about the non-conference schedule and how the schedule just kind of lined up. And unfortunately was right on the money.
Yeah. I mean, it went as poorly as it possibly could have. And even because like, even if you thought like, oh, you're asking for it in 3 of those 4 games, you still don't think that you're going to be needing a last minute drive to beat North Dakota at home.
And you also don't think that even if you're asking for it in those 3 games that you're going to lose all 3.
Yeah. By 1 score. Like, it's just, yeah, it's been a heck of a season for K-State. And to add to it, they will now be without Austin Romaine for the rest of the season. Chris Kleiman announced today at his press conference that he will be shut down after 9 games, and I believe he's set to have surgery or at least have to recover from. We know he's been dealing with an issue with his arm, his hand, something there where he's been clubbed up for the last couple of games. So, what do we know on the Austin Romaine situation, and what does this mean for K-State in their linebacking unit that had really been turning it on as of late? Because Austin Romaine had a good game against Tech, was slow, and had some bad moments against Kansas. I still thought there were things there that you could see, though, like his timing on some other things, like he did things well. Des Purnell has stepped up lately. But what does this mean now for K-State over the final 3 games?
Yeah, it means that they're really without one of their main vocal leaders on the defense. So that's kind of a bummer. But you slide Desmond Purnell from that Will spot to the Mike spot, and he's also one of your vocal leaders on the defensive front. So he's going to be making all the calls now at the Mike linebacker spot. Asa Newsome is going to slide into that Will spot and be the starter. So you get to kind of see a glimpse for what you hope to be the light really turning on for Asa Newsome, because I think that everybody's rooting for him after having back-to-back devastating knee injuries at like crucial and like just points of the season where it's like, oh, like his true freshman season. It's his 4th game. Luckily for K-State and for Newsome, it was his 4th game. Like he gets hurt on kick coverage on a kickoff that I think went out of the end zone. It's like you saw that, and then last year again hurt on special teams. Like hoping that he can kind of put it all together at some point and gets faster and gets these reps and kind of keeps moving forward on that trajectory for next year and beyond. But not like a total surprise, I don't think. Like I think that Romaine probably has needed surgery or something along this line for a little bit, and you're 4-5. You're hoping to just scrap and claw to make a bowl game instead of go to the Big 12 championship game. Why not rest, get some recovery on your hand? You either go to the NFL draft, which is a possibility, or you're healthy for spring football at K-State, or so like that. I think that's kind of where I'm at with that. Is I would rather have Romaine healthy for spring football and kind of like be 100% going into next year than him really trying to gut it out, because you could tell that it's been really bothering him the last 2 weeks, and do that for the final 3 games when you're 4-5, and then you keep playing on it. Maybe it gets worse.
Yeah, I think when you don't have a lot left to play for, and these guys that are banged up, and that obviously he's been doing things to make sure he's out there. Once like mathematically you're not able to achieve certain things, then it is in the best interest of certainly the player, certainly the coaches for like making decisions like that with players and how they look to prospective players and other players on the team. And then even like the team's sake next year, because a 100% Austin Romaine for next year's team is better than a 65% Austin Romaine for this year's team. And like you said, it could get worse. And look, maybe like you said too, maybe it's the NFL draft after this. Either way, like I don't think you can fault guys for that decision. Now, the only way that people, look back on it differently and raise an eyebrow, it's like, oh, he also ended up in the transfer portal, but I don't think that's the concern right now for Austin Romaine. So it's unfortunate news for K-State, but in some ways can, not be the worst thing in the world for them. Because you're going to get to see a little bit more of Asa Newsome now, which I think people have wanted for a while. Now he's dealt with injuries as well, so he's going to have to kind of get that sorted out. But you'll get to see how that all looks like.
It's a big last 3 games and maybe a bowl game for like Asa Newsome and Gabe Powers, because those are 2 guys that can come back next year and will be. You either need to know that you need to get in the portal and get ready to get another will linebacker that can play next year, or okay, like we like what we have with Asa Newsome and Gabe Powers as well.
Yeah, so we'll see how it goes from there, but definitely a blow to K-State. Has not been a blow to the BetMGM line on the Cats, though. Still 19.5-point road favorites at Oklahoma State this weekend, 11 a.m. Yeah, your eyes do not deceive you. It's an ESPNU game. And let me go big brain conspiracy theory on you. When this came out and was announced, I said, it's weird that, we haven't really had that many ESPNU games lately for power conference schools. If they had ESPN rights, ESPN's been shoving them on ESPN Plus. This seems like a prime ESPN Plus opportunity. But I think there's a game this last weekend that was on ESPNU, and maybe another one this coming weekend in addition to this one. My big brain conspiracy, Drew, is that this is ESPN with the carriage dispute being like, oh, you want to watch your teams? We're not giving you freebies on ESPN Plus with that $6 a month subscription. No, you need to go get our big boy service or find yourself a provider that actually has us. So Disney screwing those of you with YouTube TV that want to watch the Cats this weekend. So hey, tickets are probably pretty cheap. Maybe you head down to Stillwater, see the Cats win there for the first time since 2017, because K-State is winning this game, right, Drew?
I mean, you would hope and you would think. Fascinating that both teams coming off a bye for this one, because it felt like there was a lot of buys in the Big 12 over the weekend. But this feels like if you don't win in Stillwater, like when are you going to? Everybody else is. Oklahoma State's trying to not go winless in the Big 12 over the last 2 years for the first time since KU did it. So, I mean, can always be worse. Like as bad as this season and disappointing as this season has been, like at least K-State has won a Big 12 game in the last 18 months.
Hang on. Yeah.
Like Oklahoma State last year had about the same expectations that K-State had coming into it, and Oklahoma State didn't win a Big 12 game.
Yeah, which is, I would say, should give you some hope here, is that, like, I think a lot of people would look at this game and you're worried because you're like, oh, this team's due to win one. Well, they lost all of them last year. So
that could make them double due.
No. That's not how this works. You go back and you look at them and you say, okay, well, actually, they lost them all last year. They keep losing them. They just really, really suck. So yeah, I don't think K-State should have, and I don't know that I feel comfortable with the 19.5. I mean, I get Oklahoma State's bad, but K-State's a little banged up. I guess the thought would be, how much to beat do they miss on defense? There's going to have to be some adjustments made for how Oklahoma State plays, because most of the season was without Zane Flores, who's back now.
Was without an actual quarterback.
Yeah. So it's going to be fascinating for them. One other piece of news is K-State will be without Jerron Bradley for this game as well. So, a little bit more of a shakeup there. Now, that's not as big of a deal. You have Jace Brown and Jerron Tibbs, so you're set there. You've got your tight ends. You've got some other options to kind of go to. I guess maybe another thing to think about on this one that I'll throw your way, Drew. Are we about to see more Lincoln Cure involvement? Another bye week for a guy that we know, didn't get here till the summer. So, this feels like it would be the right time for it, especially when you're without a big pass catcher like Jerron Bradley, that you've kind of got some things opening up. And I was very passionate that I'm sick and tired of seeing balls that touch Garrett Oakley's hands hit the turf. So maybe you try getting your really talented freshman involved. That would be what I would try to do. Regardless of anything else, I'd say, well, I don't know. Let's put him out there, get him the ball more, like make it a focus to get him the ball more in some ways. Do we see that?
I think that we could. I mean, in a perfect world, this game is a runaway, and you actually get to see like Jacob Knuth or Blake Barnett or Dylan Duff even get to play a little bit, and then like not only do you have Cure out there with the number ones, but like he could also be out there and like play more inline tight end, and we get to see that a little bit in game action. So I mean, Kyr's snap count keeps like progressively going up a little bit each game. Like I think that there's a real possibility that we see that. But also, like I said, like this is a game where if you want to take out like all the frustration of this season, you just pound Oklahoma State. You might see one or two backup quarterbacks too.
Yeah, and I said that I think that needs to be the mindset going into this game. This whole, after Texas Tech, the thought needs to be we're going to Oklahoma State and we're just bashing their brains in because teams like Oklahoma State don't even deserve the fake respect of, they're a good team. It's tough to win games in college football. It's not tough to win games in college football when you're playing Oklahoma State. Like KU tried to make it really tough last weekend, 2 weekends ago, however you want to quantify that with your words.
I don't think that Tulsa has beat a team since they beat Oklahoma State.
No, they haven't. It's quite literally not hard to beat Oklahoma State. Everybody is doing it. So I think K-State's thought process needed to be, we're going to release some frustration in this process. Yeah. Let's see. Tulsa lost by 17, lost by 38, lost by 14, lost by 1, lost by 19 since playing Oklahoma State and winning in Stillwater back in September. We'll see. Maybe the Golden Hurricane get off the schneid this weekend against Oregon State. I would almost bet they do.
But like I said, though, if this is kind of like my thoughts going into K-State KU is like KU was probably like, if you can't win this one, like win. This is like, if you can't win in Stillwater this year, like when the hell are you going to? Like
probably some random year where you shouldn't, like 2017.
Like, and what's crazy is this isn't just a football thing. Like baseball, I don't think has won a series in Stillwater since the 80s. And men's basketball has struggled in Stillwater recently. The K-State women last year were really, really good. Lost by 30 in Stillwater. Like it is just a place where K-State just struggles at everything. And I don't really understand the rhyme or the reason, but it just feels like every year it's like, oh, lost again at Oklahoma State. Yeah, whatever. You move on.
Yeah, that can't be what happens.
No,
this time around though. So
no, if it happens this time around, there's some actual questions that need to be answered. Like 2023 ended up being like a holy crap, I can't believe K-State lost to that team. But then that Oklahoma State team took off from there.
Yeah,
like this Oklahoma State team, they're dead in the water. Like it's over. They're just trying to not be winless again, like I said.
Yeah, and I absolutely agree with you. And if K-State loses this game, there are some things that need to be discussed and totally rethought. And we would have those conversations if it happened, but we are still a handful of days away from kickoff. So we won't have those conversations, and I doubt we will end up having them. K-State, Oklahoma State coming up this week, and we'll talk more about it throughout the rest of the week. Tomorrow, we are going to talk basketball, though, because they've got a significant game coming up on Thursday to try to start the season 3-0 as Cal comes to town. It's a return game from Jerome Tang's first season when they went to Berkeley and beat Cal. Day-Day Ames, former Wildcat, is going to be the leading scorer right now for Cal.
Also,
so we will
Cavalier.
Yeah, we'll talk a little bit about that. And just for reference, plenty of tickets still left for K-State Oklahoma State this weekend, like directly through Oklahoma State, by the way, for $45. So, and I'm sure you can find them for cheaper on the secondary sites. So tell ESPN and Disney to kiss it, and you're just driving to Stillwater this weekend. You'll have some fun. Have you looked at the weather forecast for Stillwater, Drew?
No. Is it going to be cold or wet or both?
Look, there's a chance of some rain in the forecast. So yes, K-State might have to face their greatest fears one more time this season. A bye week and rain. Worked out pretty well in Lawrence because K-State wanted a wet track and they got it. Walked out there with a 42-17 win. We'll see if it looks that gruesome for Oklahoma State as it did Kansas a couple weeks ago. And we'll be back again tomorrow with more K-State Online action for you with the KSO show. Head on over to On3. Get signed up for KSO if you're not. Access to the boards. You started to get some sniffs of some stuff going on with the Edwards thing. A lot of up-to-date information about that and everything else going on with the Cats. So for Drew Galloway, I'm Mason Voth. Thanks for watching and listening.